sold you out. And so I'm asking you to vote them out. They are pretenders. Not just this current mob in Canberra today, but their predecessors and their predecessors' predecessors. Pretenders. Now you may be dyed-in-the-wool Liberal voters, you may be dyed-in-the-wool Green, or dyed-in-the-wool Labor, ideologically. But your local member, your senator, they have no ideology, they are dishonest, they are pretenders, and they've sold you out. They make promises they have no intention of keeping, they write cheques that are not theirs to cash. And they do these things because their career is politics. Their career is politics. It's not building businesses. It's not getting their hands dirty on the factory floor or in the professions. It's not saving the planet. It's not social justice. It's buying votes, pure and simple, and they will say anything and spend everything to buy your vote. That's why I say, ladies and gentlemen, we have to vote the pretenders out. So here's what we need to do. We need to hold the balance of power in the Senate. Imagine that. The Liberal Democrats, the candidates that you've just met today, and unfortunately I've let down with bad technology, holding the balance of power in Senate. Now I'm just going to quickly go around. We've got David Limbrick, who's in the upper house in Victoria. He's known as the unofficial leader of the opposition. And that's because the Liberal Party in Victoria are gutless. And so what's happened is David Limbrick has stepped up to the plate. In Queensland, we've got Campbell Newman. Now, if Campbell Newman can be criticised of everything, it's been too principled. He tried too much too soon, and that was his political failing. But we are a party of principle, so he's come to the right place. In New South Wales, we've got John Ruddock, and thank you very much, John, for coming along today. John Ruddock, once again, in fact, one of the things that inspired me to join the Liberal Democrats is when I saw John Ruddock protesting in July of this year. I was there with a good friend, and we're going to, well, no, I wasn't there. The police haven't caught up with us yet, so we won't go there. We've got Ken Elm Tonkin in South Australia, and we've got Kate Fantanell. And with all due respect to the rest of you, if there's one person who ain't going to sell out, it's Kate Fantanell, and I cannot wait to see her in the Senate. So here's what we need to do to hold the balance of power. Imagine that, the Liberal Democrats, these senators that I've just told you about, holding the balance of power. In New South Wales, that means sending John Ruddock to the Senate, and I'm asking you to help me send John Ruddock to Canberra, but I'm asking you for more than that. I'm asking you to get behind me so I can get to Canberra too to keep an eye on John. That's the setup, ladies and gentlemen, and you know at the end of this little speech, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to ask you for money. But before we get there, I want to tell you how we can win. The seat of Berowra is a very safe Liberal seat. Julian Leeser is the incumbent. I don't think he's a bad guy, but I can't choose my victims. He won the seat last time with a primary vote of 57%. So tell me, put up your hand, shout out, he won a primary vote 57%. What do I need to win that seat? Call out.
51.
51. Who else wants to guess? Okay, how about 30%? I get 30% of the primary and I've won that seat. It's not impossible. All I need to do is get 30%. I think I can do that. And if you don't think I can do that, you're not taking into account how conservative the Berowra electorate is and how angry they are at being sold out by the false flags. Morrison's a false flag, and if you know anything about the Hornsby electorate, I'll tell you there's a big fat false flag up there. It's Matt Keane. Now, if I can get 30% of the primary, I can win the seat, and that's very achievable with your support. With your support, it's achievable because we only need 3 ingredients to win, and we've got 2 of them. The first ingredient is great policies. The second ingredient is great personnel, and the third ingredient is getting our voters familiar with our policies and personnel. I'm talking marketing communications, and that's where the warfare becomes asymmetrical. You guys, some of you, most of you, except you guys are the guests, you pay $200 a seat to be here. The Labor Party in WA, $8,000 or $7,000 or $8,000 a seat. How's that democracy? That's not democracy. We can take the electorate on with your support, and what I want to do in the next few minutes is tell you why we have great policies, why we have a great team, and why we have a great plan for getting the message out there. Now, firstly, we have great policies because we're principled. I can tell you what we stand for. Number 1, we stand for personal freedom. We've got 4 things. The first one is personal freedom, and the other things spin out of that. The next one, with personal freedom comes individual responsibility. We believe in that. The third thing we believe in is small government. We don't want the government telling us what to do. You know, we talk about, we want to reduce the size of government by 10% off the bat and then 1% every year after that until the balance is budget. So, personal freedom, individual responsibility, small government and free markets. That's what we're now. We've got this thing called the Freedom Manifesto. It's got 10 great policies there. I encourage you to take a look. I'm not going to go through them all now. One of them is the recall elections. We'd love to have recall elections like they do in America. We want to reduce debt and deficit. We believe in low taxes, voluntary superannuation, free speech. We are the party of small business too, by the way. So I encourage you to look at our Freedom Manifesto. It's a wonderful document. If there's one thing this party has, it's some great brains at the top of the party who know how to articulate this stuff really well. Now let me give you an example. Right, okay, well that's great. You've got great principles, you've got great policies. How do you put this into action? Well, you know what? Inflation's coming. I reckon inflation's already here. I don't buy that we've got 3.5% inflation. Already the price of a can of baked beans and spaghetti's up 10-20%. But how do you tackle inflation? Well, for a start, we want to bring flat taxes down to 20%, flat corporate and personal tax. That'll put more money in your pocket to pay for stuff. That's an immediate thing that we want to do. Secondly, we've got an energy policy. We want to lift the ban on nuclear energy. Whoa, but it's too dangerous. Okay, come up with a set of specs. You can't build a nuclear power plant unless you come up with a set of specs. Oh, it's too expensive. Well, we're not asking you to pay for it. Investors will come along, and you know what? If it's too expensive, they won't invest, so what's your problem? Oh, it'll take too long. Well, that's the investor's problem. Don't you worry about that. You can sound like someone else, aren't And aside from that, I'm happy to take you on this. What do you think causes inflation? It's money printing and splashing the economy with money. Now, a lot of us are involved in insolvency and restructuring here, and we've seen firsthand the way the government has just done nothing but fund a whole bunch of zombie companies, and that chicken's going to come home to roost. Secondly, we've got the personnel. Get ready, props. We're not career politicians. Now, I'm going to ask them, it's one sentence, guys, okay? Not 3 sentences or half a paragraph. Daniel Lukowitz, can you please stand up? Are you a career politician? What do you do for a living?
I hate politicians.
Thank you. Except me. Well, no, come on. He owns a small business. He's in the security game.
I've watched a lot of people who own big businesses now own small businesses, and they did nothing wrong.
Well, big businesses are the collaborators with the government. Thank you, Daniel. We've got Lisa Tull as well. Can you stand up? Are you a career politician? What do you do for a living?
No, not a politician. I actually run my own business. I actually run a building and design business based in Parramatta. So I've really seen the impacts on the working people around Parramatta and around Western Sydney.
You're not a career politician.
I'm not a career politician.
Victor Taylor, stand up. The man from South Western Sydney. He's going in a seat, believe me.
Yeah, no, not a career politician here. I'm a Christian pastor and a father of 6.
Thank you very much. So, we've got great personnel. They're not career politicians. They come from great backgrounds. And so that's the second ingredient. We've got great policies and great people. Now, the third thing is the battle plan. Now, Ross Cameron will be very happy to know, but everyone else in my family is very unhappy to know that I'm getting the balloons, Ross. The balloons are coming. What's going to happen is, at Ross Cameron's suggestion, I'm going to hand out helium-inflated balloons with my head on it, and little kiddies aren't going to be able to resist them, and bobbing through Westfield Mall is going to be my head, like this. On top of that, so they cost money, but not a lot of money. We've got core flutes. The core flutes are the big signs that go up everywhere. They cost money. And my daughter has said, she goes to Barker College up there, she said, please Dad, no core flutes within 2 kilometres of the school. Well, I'm not going to, that's a promise I haven't made, so I don't have any problems not keeping that. 1.5. Now, it costs $8,500 to print enough letterboxes and get them, letterbox drops and get them distributed. We'd love to get a billboard, they cost 20 grand. We're not going to afford that. We'd love to get a mobile billboard with me and John Ruddock featuring on it, beaming off it, asking people to vote for us. They cost 14 grand. Advertising in a local rag is about 3 grand a time. You know, the others have got what we would call in the finance game accumulated balance sheets. They've got $8,000 a head dinner functions. They've got years of, this whole thing's a racket. If they win enough votes this time, they get all their spend back. So they've got big